So, now there I was. I was falling, felt like I was just spiraling down when I went into this particular vision. And I've said this before, and I have other segments you can watch where I go in a little bit of detail about all this. I was in my room, and I was using a lot of things that day of importance out of my list of points that I had been talking to him about. And so what I had done was said that I want all of this reviewed, and I was maxed out on a lot of hurts, and I had found some codes on how to get to him the most, and all the hit and run Joes in my life stories that keep getting away. And I knew about the silence, and I knew about that a lot of people that don't have him will have a certain silence, but my silence seemed to feel a lot like theirs after all. And how could this be? I was bothered how I can't tell people that I'm happy in the Lord, but I turned to doing certain Bible studies that I already knew, and I found a couple of others, but I just knew it was too long of a wait for that part where the table goes empty for about a half an hour, it says, as he returns to pick up his flock on earth. Well, that was just a little too far away, and I just felt like I started wanting out of here more and more. I'd look at my mom and dad watching all this Fox TV all the time and not saying the right things when I get back to where page we're supposed to be on concerning God, what's going on this earth, and how close we are to getting to what they call up high as the mark of the beast. Up high. And I knew this, I could feel this. And you just know that it is so. And so everything built to a climax after all of these weeks gone by of me doing this and putting all this together. And so I'll tell you more whatnots that I said as I go. But now let's get to this. The way that this was that he comes to me was that I would wind up on my knees at a wall facing west in my room. And when I came up, in Jesus Christ's name, amen, he didn't come. And I was really wanting him to come out to show himself or give me some sort of something here. So I just sort of clutched my hands against the wall and stared into a portrait that was in front of me, as though I was trying to get to him, and I pictured I was going through the stars up through Orion to the gates, as corny as this sounds. Well, it did work. But either I was holding my breath or something, but I had run completely out of energy. I was so drained. See? And so I was sort of just shaking and hurting, crying. I didn't have no strength left. So I sort of turned and moved some things off my bed. And I just sort of laid down and made my neck comfortable and closed my eyes and wondering if he would come now or not. I don't care. And I just felt like I was falling asleep. And I say it was just before I fell asleep, or it was right on the line of falling asleep. But I heard suddenly everything seemed to go down, down around me, and the angel takes me. And this is the description of this. That my eyes were closed, the angel takes me, and it was a gentle pickup, and we begin to fly. This was the feeling. And so I'm in the dark though. My eyes are closed, even though I'm traveling, and the angel is picking up speed. And it was the same as slowly shifting, or comfortably shifting gears, even though we built up speed as we went. Then we were soaring finally. And then the kick down, and then another kick down, and then my eyes were open. And now I see the face of God, the body of God. And I didn't realize who it was, because I thought that I had angered he and the elders up high for how I got a little tacky about all of this. And I thought they were going to teach me a lesson, or let me have it, you see. And so this is what I was thinking, that I went too far with them. I knew the angel had me. I said, the angel has me. And I heard voices on the way up. And I said, they're going to get me. And then the closer we got, I said, they're getting me. Because the voices escalated and it seemed to be against me. And this is when I heard the first time. This is when it was that I heard the voices like voices we have. Men from the mid, men from the baritone, mid from a baritone mid. Men with sort of a high. But there was not this thing of soft, gentle voices. And so, now, I see him. But what I see is unbelievable. Pow! His hand came down on that table. And to get right to this now. At the end of all this, he lets me have all this, and I was only seeing a gallery of arts that he gives me. And at first I thought he was getting me, but it turned out to be something else. So we went around set after set after set. Now how this is when they decide to come to me, and let's get this straight, and I'm going to remind you again later. Before he comes to me, the man that sees the future down, even to this very day that I'm standing here, he saw all of this. So he knows. He comes to me knowing I would never make it out for him until now. And he still gives me all of this. So, this is how he works. And there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's like a movie, you know. It has a beginning, middle, of an end. The beginning starts out with identification of characters. You're watching, and you get to identify with the characters and hints of where this is all going. And the middle of it, it starts playing out the hints you saw. It builds to a big climax later as it builds, and rehashes on points that were all along coming through it, and then the big crescendo, and it ends. Somehow it ends where usually two parties, the victim and the other ones, the outcome for the victim and the other ones, is generally how a movie goes. He is the king of this also. This is how he comes to me, okay? So you understand more about why I finally am surfacing in a bigger way. And I'm telling you, if you only understood the amount of grief
and hurt that I take along the way trying to come out for him. It is most unbelievable, way too much to talk about right now. It would take 2 hours just to tell you every little bit. And I couldn't tell you every one, I don't document them. They just happen. My family sees us. And it is almost a family of zombies in front of me, not understanding or believing everything, not wanting to hear more. They've never asked me, keep on, tell us more. They don't really care. And so this can be very hurtful, and this has really made it harder for me to come out for the King of Kings. And I have some interesting arts to show you yet later here. And I think this has something to do with a lot of us are to get lessons from me and my life story nowadays and from the past to be more sure of who I am, you see, and so that you can look at you and your own family and realize what's going on now with each other. I try to help them, and this has to do with everyone that is wanting to be a Christian for him, or realize we're at the end of time and we're closer to going home, as I could put this, because we are. Well, he wants us all to wake up and realize something has already happened, okay, that is going to put us all in a certain realization here suddenly. And we are to reinvent ourselves and come to him and start thinking about the ones that went away and our own lives. And instead of getting paranoid or working out of fear, he wants you to be conditioned for him, because some of us are actually going to see death over what is coming now. And a lot of us are going to take scoffing and things like this. Some stoning. They're going to make it harder for us even to go online and help share all this with the world. Don't think they aren't. These are human players in front of you, and I'm going to unmask them here soon, who they are. And it's not debatable. It is the facts. Just like all of this is fact. And I think you're going to be more sure of all of this when I show you a couple of these arts soon. And I tell you some more story points. But remember, he already knows the future down when he comes to me. And still, he gives all this to me. And there's a few reasons why in here. It's not just for me. I was only seeing my own parallel in all of this. That he gives me a gallery of arts. And he knows what I'm going to do for my own personal ministry to you for him. Mostly I'm going to make over him the make and model. I'm going to spotlight him of how grand of a person he is. And maybe this will help us overlook some of these things we've had to endure. And we always come back to, he connects us with the dead again. This is very important. And we're supposed to be focusing this again. And a lot of us just don't. Especially when a lot of you have been duped by men that tell you the dead are alive in heaven now. And you don't study your own Bible to find this out. That is very untrue. There's only one part that sort of looks like it's saying that. And they'll go with that and call that our church's belief. Do you believe like we do? Well, no, we don't believe like you do. Okay, and that's just the truth. There's too many, for instances, where you can find the state of the dead means the dead know nothing. They lie asleep in the dust, waiting for his return. His return is coming. And I tell you, I have shown you here, this is where we are. Okay, we're here. And when he holds his finger out in the beginning of this and at the end, this means we will connect with each other here. And this means I would come out, and here I am. I'm here at the leg of this table. We have this much time to have a shield. You have to know him, okay? And you still have time up to here to come to him. Even though we're at the leg of the table, it doesn't mean it's over to come to him. We still have a few seasons to come to him. And this is what I'll have to stress. I'd like to say we were here, and we're not. I tried to make it here and come out. Something wacky happened, and other small things happened. I tried to make it here, but here I am a couple months later. Here we are. That must be what this is. Okay. All of us are going to have to get these Bible studies of interest. You cannot expect to watch television land for answers. And you cannot expect to get it on Fox TV News. This is about business and men of the world doing things. This is not going to put you there. You understand this now. I'm trying to help you and your family. I'm not being mean to you, but I'm being firm about how all this goes. And we share some more nice stuff about Jesus, right? Okay, so I was left to make sense of this all on my own. God does not come to me the next day or the next year. He does not come to me a month ago. I had to go on the hunt and find all of these things. Okay? Some of it came because I went to draw things I remembered. And I would find, and I'd say, that's what it is. So this is how he has done this. There was no such thing as a voice of God telling me 2 million words. There was no such thing as a voice of God telling me 100,000 words. He does not work this way when he comes to me. And so, he does not come to me because I'm the most highline Christian for him. He comes to me because of a few different things, and a couple of them I've told you how this was. But he knows that I look at things as a part of this theater we're in for him. I look at some main key points and don't look at all the other little ones in between. I do not see this the way a lot of Christians do. I already know what the important things are that the A-team looks down on and sees about all of the headquarters on this earth, the church headquarters on this earth, all the rights and wrongs of things, all of his scattered flock being in all these different churches, and some of them are Christians that don't go to church. So I'm talking to all of you now. Okay? And this is about to get a little heavy, and I told you this. But we'll get back to this. Now, as I done, I know you all have to do now. You have to call on him and include him in your life. Okay? And if you're a non-Christian, you have to become his Christian and learn the elementaries of and begin to reinvent yourself for him. Okay? And realize something big is coming soon. This is no longer, well, we don't even know when he's coming. I can always be a Christian when I'm ready. Or maybe because I called on him and said I love him, I'm in. It doesn't go this way, and you know this, right? You are to include him in on your life with everything, good, bad, and in between. Know that it is seen. And I say, instead of thanking the angel to your right, I keep reminding him, I see it as a stream looking down on me. They have everything, and I just communicate it up and say, see, look what's going on here. See, look what's going on there. And I say, look at what happened here. I throw it all up to him, see. And that's just the way it is. I know that I can turn around and walk somewhere and they're not behind me. And there's nothing I can hide. So, after all these things I've shown you on these other segments, and all these pictures and words of description of things, I want you to remember all of this as you watch this segment and the next one. If this is the first segment of mine you're watching, please don't continue. You need to watch the other ones, please. And what I say is turn everything off around you. Get it quiet around you when you watch these. Just like you're going to do when you open your Bible. Just like you're going to do when you come to Him completely. Throw up all your life's points of what made you this way and all of this stuff. And tell Him you want to be more conditioned for whatever may happen soon. That you will stick to Him no matter what. Because as you know, the force of the devil through players comes to take your mind off of that and take you away from Him. See? And that's just what is going to start in an obvious way now in our sights, as you'll see zombies around you in this way. So it really is time to get to know your own Bible. No more partying in a church or on a TV thing. No more looking at entertainers pacing on a stage talking about God and bettering your Christian life and this type of thing. This will do you no good because these folks can say a million things. A lot of them are not able to prove something in here soon. And they're going to lose when we get to this line. They're going to lose. Okay? And you don't want that to happen to you. You want this to happen. See? I've made it more conclusive, as it is, about the make and model being who He is and how we are also like Him. We have things that He has, and you can make more sense of this now. I told you this becomes His beard as the clouds formed and came behind Him and stopped with a circle inside that was a dark red and a sort of orange turning red and got darker inside. This would be His head and this would be His hair, the way the clouds were formed around it. And it sets as a beard when you see Him on the cross with these cloths. And that this is the neck mound and the shoulders mounds. And the blood went down and it went down this side of the cross. And this is what happened, that His blood has been trapped there. And as I said, Ron Wyatt did find it. And we'll get back around to that here soon too. So, when you watch the other segments I'm going to throw up from last year, you'll really get the whole full picture of more about my vision and how this works and all of this. And here, this is what you'll really know more about then. So, now, what I'm also going to tell you now is you're going to want to hang on to all the monies that you can starting now. Besides the fact that we're about to have a cashless society, there's going to be other problems about that money. And wouldn't you know, right now is when everybody's trying to get some from you. Haven't you noticed that? And you're going to need more because you want to get a second home in the country and go to it as soon as you can. And that's just the truth. And this corona thing is supposed to show you this could be so. Well, it's not going to get much better like people think. And so this is what you may understand now. Just look at how these chief leaders are doing something about this. Think about it. It's going to come down to certain things you've heard that could happen. And they are going to happen. Okay? And I hope that you'll trust me, because I saw him. He gives me something in here about all this, because he knows it's getting closer to, he's going to start slamming them with plagues because of the anger. Because he sees it has something to do with squeezing us out, changing our freedoms that be, taking our eyes off of him, and being under too much of a supremacy of law and rule. And you know what that could be like. Just like, what, maybe 4 years ago, was it? Something in there. You heard about 5 new laws were made one night, and come tomorrow, nobody hardly even knew what they were. And so some people still didn't know if they were even breaking these new laws. This is the way that it's going to feel. And you've seen changes in the world and the globe and people and other countries, news reports. You know this is all going somewhere. You can't deny it. It's not going to be that you get to pick up on the last page you were on before this coronavirus. Believe me. There's some bad players out here, okay? And they have the bigger microphones and the bigger to-dos and the signatures, the stamps, you see, and the unities. And I am not telling you to lash out at the laws or lash out on these folks. I'm telling you, we're living under shadows from the past that repeat, from the Bible stories that you may not know about. And this is how it works, and he wanted us all to see this, that a lot of these story points throughout the Bible, some of these would return through time, and he would want us to relate back to these. How it was that his Christians would take scoffing, stonings, persecution, things like this. Who's coming and how it will look. And that's what some of these fine Christians are on top of. But you have to know who these fine Christians are, because they are to help the others. And so I may be the lamest one, but there is something of my ministry here of this to help you and help you to them. And as a messenger for the messengers that's set next to the King of Kings, they are to realize they are to help with this and relate back to me in conversation. And I'm sure they'll do just that. And I'm going to do this for them. But I don't want to see you get taken by Brother Ray in any way. Because I'm telling you, there's more phony Christians that you're around than you thought. And you might be one of them. If you have family, you better get it right now, because here's your chance. You keep messing around and think that you have all this time. You do not. Please, man, please. You just don't. Now, let me just lighten up here. And we're going to move with something else. But he doesn't want you to blame him if you give your monies away and write out donation checks. And spend it on stuff that you don't need. His true Christians did not waste money and count on another loan or count on future monies, you see. They were sort of meager with their monies, and you know this to be so. Just because we came a long way through time, and there's all kinds of stuff around, hey, don't get caught up in that. This is for the people that I want to become Christians and quickly reinvent yourself. And for the other Christians to realize you may be scattered in the wrong places, and he wants you to be gathered as one. And that doesn't mean to observe some very popular preacher or minister or priest or any of these. This is not what he wants you to do. Okay? And I'll tell you what it is he wants you to do here soon. And I'll remember to get back to all these things, so don't worry. Now, putting all this together is what I had to do. And so I went on the hunt. And I've been doing this for a long time, okay? Over 2 years just going on the hunt. And while doing this, I find that it is impossible to get anyone to react to this out of the few people I have called or sent something to. Nobody calls me back. Nobody makes any comments one way or the other. So it's quite amazing. Now, it is sort of a shame that they have to watch all of these segments before they're totally sure of me, when they are sort of behind the sceners and they're supposed to be a little more with it than you or she or he. But that's the way it is. And once again, you're to look at me and my problem with my family as zombies, not waking up to this stuff, you know, still counting on, oh, it'll turn around. And my daughter, she's different, but she doesn't ask me to tell my complete stories of stuff. Why not? Why not? I understand. But she's really going through something wacky that's happened to her. Just like my other family members. Some of my other family members are. So this is the truth. And that will make you sort of as a zombie, because you're really dealing with things inside yourself and things that have happened to you. And even if you have him, you sort of barely have him. And you can't hardly stand straight up. And this is the truth. And it hurts because you just can't convince people quickly enough about all of this, apparently, unless you're a suited up popular Christian, apparently, I guess. That's not my way. And so they know this to be so. But I told you all these things so far. Now think about this. You're already sure, aren't you? You're probably more sure than the ones that should have been more sure and set straight up with, oh, well, what, then what? And they just don't do this. And I've said this 3 or 4 different times. It still comes down around this because I'm covered up with it. Anytime I try to get somewhere with someone outside of these segments. There's only a few people now that have seen 10 of these segments. Still, nobody calls, you see. And it hurts, man. It hurts. We're a real live world here with all of this. And I think other people are just unsure. Some may even be scared to take a chance on this and him. Wow! You'd think they'd want to know more about the make and model, like things I'm going to show you here, right? So, here we are at the end of time. And the way it goes now is we are to revert back to the beginning of time as we know it. Bits about Adam and Eve. And then Noah, you see. Into Moses. And Moses and Pharaoh. And Moses and Mount Sinai. Moses coming down from the mountain and having to regain order with his bunch, right? So this is where we are, and these shadows are repeating in front of us. And you know, I haven't caught glimpses of anybody talking about this on a Christian TV thing that I keep scanning to see. Nobody's telling people this stuff. And it's not just that they don't have the light on it from him. It's not intended for these players to have this particular light, even though they know of it. Their thing is keeping a certain unity with the audience and getting you to donate them monies and showing their reruns of their episodes that paid off the most. And that's what you're seeing on some of these TV personalities, for God. And I just think it's hurtful that you could be sitting there and watching that because you can't get out and go around somewhere. You think wise to look for answers about God on those things, and they can pull out Bible quotes all right, and they can try to better your Christian life with talk, but this is not going to get it. You see, it is where this theater has come to a wrap, and the heavenly beings are getting the lessons that he wanted them to get from watching us, and how far the devil and his agents would go, what it all comes to.
Now, I did touch up on this again yet. And this is where I sat next to him. And this is how he looked. And this is where the olive green Jew turned more of a golden Jew. It was very much like they had made the lighting sort of black and white. How you would see someone on a television in black and white. His red became dark, like black almost. All the red. And his green face became golden. And this is where he looked more like Miss Teresa, as I said before. And this is the only time, if I remember right, that I could see... Well, no, there were 2 times that I think that I could see where the blood spots were on his robe as he sweated blood. It's as though this would be the same robe, or he wants me to see that it's true, I did sweat blood. And that's why I say the only blood I saw was around the collar line and a little bit under his arm, under the arm area. Not much, and it looks as though it was washed out of the robe and stained. So I thought that was interesting. I saw what looked like stains from blood spots. And I wasn't... His hair is full of sheen and luster, and I actually thought he washed his hair before coming down to me, and that it wasn't completely dry. And so that I thought there were water spots drying as I was with him. Isn't that odd? The truth is truth. I did not realize he sweated blood till I found out a year had gone by, and then I found that out. See? But yeah, I kind of touched up everything around him here, everything on him, to get it closer, a little closer, to look exactly like him. And it really looks almost exactly like him. This is more of a lifelike animation drawing than I have been able to do. And this is where I was able to sit right next to him, and he had a way of looking at me now and then as though he's bringing me right up to him. Sort of like I felt the big brother looking at me and then giving me an expression of his. Like he was closing me right up there. I felt like I was right there next to him, and I was perhaps 6 feet away, 7 feet away, you see, and right next to him. And it made me think back on when I sat next to Jonathan Frid. He had done this similar thing, and they know this up high, and I thought this was mostly about him giving me the same type of time that I had with Jonathan Frid, which was my imaginary big brother I never had. And it just felt warm, and he was so inviting while he was here. I just always, since I was a kid, I wish I'd had a big brother to help me and my siblings, and we just didn't have it. I was that big brother, and I wasn't enough, and I wasn't that much older than them or anything. And my feelings were hurt because what happened to us when we were young, and then what happened to my real father, and what happened to our house. And now I would feel better as somehow a big brother showed up from the Big Brothers Association. And I couldn't believe that. And his name was B.V. Lawson Jr. And we were in Tampa there. And so for just over a year, I had a big brother. And it really felt good because he would come and take me places. And they wouldn't allow him to have contact with taking my siblings out, only me, to places. I guess that was their rule. And then finally he was allowed to take all three of us out, me and my brothers, to places. And this was great. But yet he wasn't allowed to take the little girl, my sister, which was about 3 at the time. And it made me feel sad. And then I got sadder because a day came, my mom was dating Bob, and they were talking about marriage. And I guess the Big Brothers organization had told BV that he could no longer big brother for me. And so I never forgot when he called me and said, Warren, I received some news. Listen, I'm not going to be able to be your big brother anymore like this because your mom's talking about getting married, and the boys are telling me that I have to sort of step back. And I said, oh, I just never forgot sitting there on the phone how everything just came crushing down in a way, you see. And I was looking forward to the next time that he would show up and we would do something. I mean, man, he'd come and we'd go to some places. I tell you on an earlier episode about the time he took me and my brothers on his plane, and we went over the city of Tampa. And we couldn't believe we were on this private little plane here, looking down at the big city and everything. And he had a couple of his colleagues with him, and they were talking. And but I remember before I knew it, he's telling me, okay, Warren, when we get up here a little piece, you're going to be taking the wheel over. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah, you're going to get to drive. I said, hey, whoa, no, I can't do that, man. And he goes, you can do it, you can do it. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And he just sort of hesitated. He goes, hey, man, don't worry, you don't have to. It's all right. And I was like, wow. And I never forgot the feeling of that. And he was being a rascal. But it was awesome. Let me see. I remember he goes, hey, let's go to Avon Park. We're going to go hunting over there. I was like, really? And so we did this pretty long drive to Orlando. And I remember we drove through, and it was real windy, and sort of like the rainy day look. And we're actually driving through an old ghost town, and tumbleweeds were blowing out. I was like, wow, look at this. It just makes me feel like I was in some old movie. And we went to the spot, and we got out, and I never forgot seeing this trail of blood that never ended from some guy shooting some armadillo. And he was explaining how they bleed so much blood you won't believe it. That's what that is. And then I was like, oh man, what a massacre it looks like on this trail. But I wasn't scared with him, you see. And he's just a real good guy. He was a banker. And he had his office set up there in the biggest building downtown at the time. And he'd take us through there too. And what else was it? I remember. Yeah, and another time he goes, hey, we're going to go see a movie. You want to go see a movie? I said, sure. And so we went to a movie theater. And the movie was called A Space Odyssey. Space Odyssey 2000. think it was called. And I never forgot seeing this movie on the big screen and how you just felt like you were right there with these astronauts in space. And I didn't like the part near the end, though, when one of them dropped out of the capsule, somehow fell out, and had the line tied to him, but somehow it came undone, and his partners had to watch him drifting away into space, and there's nothing they could do to help him. I never forgot that. That just really will stick with you, you know. Then he took me and my brothers another time to see the movie Oliver Twist. That was something else there on the big screen. It was a fairly new movie at the time. And instead of getting the lesson, I remember wanting to be more like the Dodger and the gang of boys. And I became a little thief. And so that was not good. And that would follow up later, and I would move on to wanting to steal bigger things, and it got me in trouble. And it would wind me up in prison. But yeah, BB was at the house one day, and I was telling him about all the acreage behind us, through all the orange groves and the fruit trees and stuff. And I said, there's an old pig slaughter farm abandoned back there, a couple acres back. It's deserted and spooky like. And he goes, yeah? Well, I kind of like to see that. And I said, oh? So we went back there, and me and my brothers had already been back there a few times. So I remember taking him through the tour, or showing him how they had all the stalls over there, and the corrals, and they left everything behind, you see. It's been abandoned probably for a decade or two. And then they'd lead all the pigs up into a big guillotine that was still there. And they dropped their heads into a big tank. And there were still remnants left behind, skull heads left in the big iron pot, huge. And so I remember another time we would wind up at his friend's house, and there was this movie that came on, and it was a 1968 classic called Cinderella, and it was stage theater, TV-based movie with Leslie Ann Warren playing Cinderella. And I'd sat in front of this big TV they had and watched that. And I never forgot how it looked while I was watching it. Well, the way that they had done that movie and the way I felt while I was watching it, actually, that's very similar to how I felt with Jesus. The way they had taken me to this place in the stars. As we're sitting there, I couldn't get over how I could remember that movie, how it made me feel seeing the king standing there talking to her outside, and going to her house, and the props they used, and the starry night sky and all that. It was very, very similar to that. It's sort of as though Jesus incorporated some of that in the styling of this. I'm not sure. But I was sitting with him here, suspended in the stars, see, with no fears as the angel has me. And I remember seeing what looked like transparent columns that they had strung up here on a big platform in the starry way. And I even remember at the end of this vision, as the angel brings me back to where I lie in my body, well, the further we slowly went back, it reminded me of the movie 2001 Space Odyssey with the astronaut drifting off into space. Isn't that something? So this is really something, how the angel has everything and he knows what he's doing when he's in front of me. And it's almost as though Jesus and the boys cooked up a little bit of this fashion of things with these points in mind. And he is now the big brother that I wish I'd have had after I started growing up there. And always, that's sort of how this is. He's my buddy. And my big brother. And he's our best friend, right? And so this is really something. Think about this. This is not somebody making things up. I'm telling you how this was. And it reminded me of being with Jonathan Frid when he sat at that autograph table and I talked to him and we talked and they started coming through for their autographs and he goes, well, hey, just pick up that chair over there and sit next to me. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, grab a chair. I said, are you sure? He goes, yeah, man. He lets me sit next to him. This was big stuff. And Jesus leads me to feel this feeling of when I was with Jonathan Frid and BV. This is, and the Cinderella thing and the other movie there. I mean, wow. Think about that. And this is where this took place. I didn't expect anything like this. I didn't say let's meet like that. I was trying to reach out to him and come to him through a portrait as though I was really traveling to the stars, right? Because mentally I was trying to come out of my body and get to him and to see him or get some resolution. So I got pushy and a little wacky, as though I was literally trying to make it to the gates of Orion. And so that is the truth of what happened, folks. And that is how I got this man more to do about how he came to me. And he really came in the nick of time with all this, because I was just really spiraling down. And I was too defeated by my enemies and adversaries and problems with my family and how my folks were acting as overly abiding citizens to anything the laws will do and things like this as we watch these Fox reports. But I remember telling everybody that I was talking to that I'm thinking of how to make a sort of village out in the country. So if any family and friends wanted to live there, a few of us could be there. And more than a second home, I thought, I kind of like the way these places look on these old Western TV things when you see them, little miniature Western town or something similar to this. And I even went into drawing out ideas and things. I really just kind of wanted to get out there, and I've been trying to get out there all along, and now I'm closer to it. So this is perhaps good, see. But they knew where my mind was on these things. And I'm in one of these towns where you can feel too much of this local politician's town, and the courthouse is down here, and having a problem with my grandson's father trying to put us in court slings, and he's not even...
So it's just a matter of time before my grandson does something else to bring trouble to us somehow. And already, just from chances of car crashes and lawsuits and anything to put you in a bind, or counting on the grocery stores too much, and curfews or high prices on things, it's just telling me it's time to move further out.
Messed up with all these hurts I was going through, And I had learned that I can't make it as a landlord guy. I was shown that don't work with me. Can't make it as owning a home in another city or any of that. I saw that I couldn't really get a team together for the music thing or any other thing I was doing. And I was sort of all alone in everything. My daughter was in jail for drugs, and it was harder for me and Penny to raise the kids without her ever being there for that whole 9 months. But yeah, I really wasn't thinking that there would be more than one parallel of things in this. I wasn't seeing it that way. It would take a long time to see this. And I wasn't going online at all, and I wasn't even able to put all of this nearly together. Of drawings, and I knew this, so it really took time for this. But you know, here's something else. As I see him here as the golden Jesus, he even reminded me up close of the look of an Arabian around his eye area. I'd seen that familiar look on the corner of his eye. They reminded me of 2 or 3 different times I'd seen an Arabian person that had that similar look. It might not mean that they're the only ones with it, but that particular look and that beard, it made me think of them. So that's odd. He has a way of this, that you do see everybody on him. It's amazing. The Bible doesn't tell us this. But the first one that I saw was the olive green Jew. And I touched this one up a little more again also. And it does make the difference. But I'm telling you, his hair shape actually is the same shape as those clouds, the way they formed above the cross behind him. And if you were down low, it would have fit more perfectly to this that you see behind the cross, the top of the cross. And his beard would have in fact been him on the literal cross. See? I was straight out like this, and it seemed like it wasn't totally lined up perfect enough. And now I realized if I was down at the foot of the cross, I'd know what they saw. They saw this very sight of the sun and the clouds around it formed, stopped right behind him. So I don't know why the Bible doesn't say it. That's what I'm to make sense of. And I realized it. But not in the first year, I don't think. I didn't realize that in the first year. I just never could gain the traction I needed to get online with this. Every time something would happen, everything was defeat. But they already knew it. When he comes to me, so it's still meant to be that I surface with all of this now, and I still haven't figured out all about this yet.
That's him. This is the best one that I have. So, now, I just thought of something else here. At that same time when I was younger with BV, that was about the same year, the next year later, I think, was when I saw Elder Del Brusette at a prophecy revelation seminar. And he was at the Tampa University on the big front stage with this whopping screen. And I never forgot that as a little kid, all the stuff that he was saying. Another guy, he would have been a good big brother to have. But it was just, I'd already seen the best one ever at doing this when I was young. And the way it was, and I remember walking outside at one point and thinking the rest of the world is doing what they're doing. And there's only a couple of hundred people in here or so. A few hundred people. It was just the biggest thing as he was showing and talking all these big, wonderful arts that they were showing on the big screen there, pictures. But here I am, way later down in life, and I never thought I would be doing any of this, but here I am doing a thing like this. So this is really something, because I'm telling you the truth. He was talking about the end of time then. Well, here we are. We really are at the end of time. This is really where we are. I hope you're all getting this. And how important it is now that you learn your prophecies. What all this entails. Now, this takes a lot of hours of doing this. You can't just do it on your own. Okay, I'm going to open the Bible. It's not that easy to do. You can sure get a primer start doing this. But you need to go see some guys online to help you with this. And you need to go to particular churches. And I'll tell you about this soon here. And remember, I don't have to pick on your little church to help gather the sheep. It's just that I can do this another way. So I'm going to take a break.